What if the most advanced weapon of the 20th century was suddenly dropped into the middle of the 19th? Imagine this: a single, modern nuclear submarine appearing out of nowhere in the midst of the American Civil War. This isn't just a fun thought experiment. It's a deep dive into how technology can completely shatter the rules of history. Let's explore what would happen if a Virginia-class submarine, one of the most powerful vessels ever built, found itself on the side of the Union in 1862. So, picture the scene. It's the height of the Civil War. The Union Navy is struggling to enforce its Anaconda Plan, a massive blockade designed to strangle the Confederacy by cutting off its ports. But blockade runners, fast and sneaky ships, are constantly slipping through. Confederate ironclads like the CSS Virginia are a terrifying new threat. The Union's wooden-hulled navy, while large, is vulnerable. Then, suddenly, a sleek black behemoth surfaces off the coast of Charleston. It's over 370 feet long, silent, and has no sails or smokestacks. To the sailors of 1862, it would look like a sea monster, a demonic creation from the depths. Panic would be an understatement. The submarine's commander and crew would be just as confused. One moment, they're on a 21st century patrol. The next, they're surrounded by ships that belong in a museum. Their GPS is useless, satellite communication is gone. They're completely alone, a technological island in a sea of the past. Their first challenge: figuring out what's going on and whose side to take. Seeing the American flag on Union ships would likely be the deciding factor. They are, after all, a U.S. Navy vessel. Their mission, by default, would be to uphold the United States. Once the initial shock wears off and they establish communication with the Union High Command, imagine Abraham Lincoln getting a telegraph about a silent iron whale. The game changes forever. The submarine's first mission would almost certainly be to enforce the blockade. The port of Charleston, a vital lifeline for the Confederacy, would be the primary target. The submarine could simply park itself, submerged and invisible, at the harbor entrance. Any blockade runner attempting to enter or leave would be detected by its advanced sonar long before they saw anything. A single torpedo would be enough to obliterate any ship of that era. The explosion would be unlike anything they had ever witnessed. It wouldn't be a cannonball punching a hole. It would be a catastrophic blast that would tear a wooden or even an ironclad ship to pieces instantly. After one or two blockade runners vanish without a trace, word would spread like wildfire. A terrifying, unseen demon guards the harbor. No captain, no matter how brave or greedy, would dare challenge it. Charleston's port would be sealed, not by a fleet of ships, but by one invisible guardian. The psychological impact would be immense. The Confederacy would be baffled. Their spies would have no answers. How can you fight an enemy you can't see, hear, or even comprehend? Their morale, already strained, would begin to crumble. The Anaconda Plan, once a leaky sieve, would become an iron-tight grip. Wilmington, Mobile, Savannah. One by one, the submarine could visit each port, shutting them down with terrifying efficiency. The Confederacy's ability to import weapons, ammunition, and other vital supplies would be severed. Their economy, dependent on cotton exports, would collapse. But the submarine's influence wouldn't stop at the blockade. What about the infamous Confederate ironclads, like the CSS Virginia? In its famous battle with the USS Monitor, the two ships pounded each other for hours with little effect. For our nuclear submarine, it would be no contest. A modern Mark 48 torpedo is designed to detonate underneath. A ship, creating a gas bubble that lifts the vessel and breaks its keel. The CSS Virginia wouldn't stand a chance. It would be lifted out of the water and snapped in half, sinking in seconds. The age of the ironclad would be over before it truly began. And let's not forget about river warfare. The Civil War saw crucial campaigns fought along the Mississippi River. While a Virginia-class submarine is too large for most rivers, its mere existence would free up the entire Union fleet. Ships previously dedicated to blockade duty could now push up the Mississippi, supporting General Grant's Vicksburg campaign. Vicksburg, the Gibraltar of the Confederacy, was the key to controlling the river. With overwhelming naval support, the siege might have ended months earlier, splitting the Confederacy in two and accelerating the Union's path to victory. But the submarine's greatest weapon might not be its torpedoes, but its cruise missiles. Tomahawk missiles have a range of over 1,000 miles and are incredibly accurate. While using them would be a massive escalation, the temptation would be there. Imagine the strategic possibilities. The submarine, sitting safely off the coast, could launch a precision strike against the Tredegar Iron Works in Richmond, the industrial heart of the Confederacy. Without Tredegar, the South's ability to produce cannons, locomotives, and armor plating would be crippled. A single, non-nuclear strike could neutralize the Confederacy's entire industrial capacity overnight. This would be a completely new form of warfare, one where the factory is as much a target as the soldier. The war would no longer be just about battles and territory, but about destroying the enemy's ability to fight at its source. The political and ethical debate within the Union command would be intense. Is it right to use such a devastating weapon? But faced with the prospect of ending a brutal war and saving hundreds of thousands of lives, President Lincoln would likely give the order. With its ports sealed, its industry in ruins, and its armies starving for supplies, the Confederacy would face inevitable collapse. The war, which in our timeline dragged on for 4 bloody years, might be over in a matter of months after the submarine's arrival. Lee's surrender at Appomattox might have happened in 1863 instead of 1865. The cost in human lives, which was over 600,000, would be drastically reduced. The submarine wouldn't just be a weapon, it would be a peacemaker, albeit a terrifying one. But what happens after the war? The submarine and its technology would be the world's greatest secret. The United States would possess a power that no other nation could even dream of. The global balance of power would be completely upended. European powers like Britain and France, who had considered intervening on the Confederacy's behalf, would be utterly intimidated. The era of American global dominance would begin a century ahead of schedule. The submarine would have not only won the Civil War, but would have reshaped the entire geopolitical landscape of the planet. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes a single piece of technology can change the course of history forever. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through time. It's a wild scenario to think about, isn't it? If you enjoyed this What If, let me know in the comments what historical event you'd like me to explore next. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and ring the bell so you never miss an adventure. We'll see you in the next one.